Let's move on to 911 consolidation. First of all, it's kind of like the Renaissance Square. You know, we're talking about consolidating 911, but yet it's not. There's some things that are already put together.
Yeah.
I know, for instance, I think you can listen to police.
Well, and
police.
I will do this demonstration because every time I do it for Citizens Academy, it always works out perfectly. I turn my handy-talkie on, and I listen.
Lincoln 317, what's your 10?
The first thing that came up, which always is a city police dispatcher talking to a city police officer. And I've told people, I think the misconception is that we can't talk to each other, and we can. On my radio, I can talk to any city police officer, I can talk to city dispatch, they can talk to me. Our radio system is combined, our computer systems are combined, they can watch our runs, we can watch their runs. I can listen to all theirs, they can listen to all of ours. And what troubles me so is this push to combine 911 has been, in my opinion, politically motivated, not for public safety. And I have spent 27 years of my life dedicated to public safety. And I have told them I will be damned if I'm going to allow this to happen for political purposes or because they want to find a different funding mechanism to pay for it. And that's what troubles me so, is that they have been pushing for the wrong reason. I said, if we go through the process of determining how do we get a first responder to somebody's house faster, and through that process we decide, yes, we should have a combined communication system where they're all sitting together working in the same room, or we shouldn't, or we should have a hybrid combination, that's what we need to go for, because the ultimate goal should be get an ambulance, police officer, firefighter to my house faster. How do we do that? Rather than worry about how are we going to pay for the 911. Well, we want to get it off the tax bills. And I've heard this user fee idea. I told one of the local newspapers yesterday, okay, let's go with user fees. 90% of the inmates at our jail are from the city. Why would I, living out in the county, have to pay to house city inmates? Let's go with user fees. They can take over my $10 million budget at the jail. So, you know, they want it one way for one thing, but not for the other. My biggest concern is the chief of police, and I know how the system works. We know, I spent 3 years in dispatch. I know when we call 911, I know you're going to get a response. I know they're going to send somebody. I know how the system works. I know it functions. There are things that I think could be done better without combining communications. I'm concerned is what it's going to look like if it gets combined. Will a 911 call go unanswered? Will it be delayed? Will somebody not get the help they're supposed to get in time? And I'm not willing to allow that to happen. And I will maybe look bad in the press, maybe look bad, but it's about public safety first. It always has been, always should be, with me. The meeting we had last week where they talked about, well, you know, they got to figure out how to pay for it rather than on property taxes. So they want to increase the 911 fees, which boils down to what really is why they want to combine communications. They want a way to increase 911 fees through voice over internet, through cell phone, through landlines. And they believe, since state statute set it up, that if you have a combined communication system, then you can go to county council and have them increase the tax. This is what I call it, because you call it a user fee, call it what you want, it's an increased tax. And I told them at the meeting, I don't believe county council will be willing to do that. They're not going to be willing to increase that tax. They should go to the state legislature who created this monster and said, look, you guys have the ability to do it. The state should increase the 911 fees for landlines, the 911 fees for voice over internet, 911 for cell phone, then disperse that out to the counties, because Allen County, Fort Wayne is not unique in the state of Indiana for problems with trying to fund 911. Don't combine communications because you want to figure out a different way to pay for it. You're putting people's lives in jeopardy, and I'm not willing to do that.
So I guess that begs the question, is it broken the way it is right now?
Well, you know, I said at the meeting that I thought there was one word question that was very poignant that never got answered, even at the last meeting. Why? Why are we trying to do this? And I've still waited for the answer. We already know it's not going to save money. You know, originally the city told us it was going to save $1.5 million. Then they dropped it to $750,000. Then it was down to $133,000. Now it's down to it's not going to save money. No, it's actually going to cost money, because the system they've set up now with the electronic bridge between Three Rivers Ambulance Authority and Fort Wayne Dispatch, they have appropriated $710,600 for this project, when they could have put in 4 brand new consoles in the city dispatch center for $200,000. They could have moved Three Rivers Ambulance Authority dispatch into one of the dispatch centers for $200,000. So already we know we're spending $500,000 we didn't need to spend, and don't have those dispatchers inside the dispatch center. Once that bridge works, if it ever does, then our dispatchers and city dispatchers will have to do pre-arrivals, which means they will be emergency medical dispatchers, what Three Rivers Ambulance Authority used to do. When you're doing pre-arrivals, you're on the phone longer. Instead of maybe a minute or two, now you're going to be on the phone 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 12. Until the ambulance gets there and can start taking over care, you're rendering first aid over the phone. While that's going on, you can't take more phone calls. So there's going to have to be somebody else to pick up that slack of the phone calls, which means you have to hire additional personnel. The reason Fort Wayne couldn't move TRI in there is because TRI said that the computer system we have wouldn't be compatible with theirs. It wouldn't do their billing for them. So they didn't want to do it. So we spend $500,000 that we didn't need to spend. Plus $23,000 a year, I think, from here on out for the license. So it's going to cost money. And I have said, you know, if we have to spend extra money to get a first responder to somebody's house 2 or 3 minutes faster, spend it. It'll save lives. I mean, the goal is to save lives. And if it costs a little more money to do it, do it. Nobody can tell me it's going to be faster. Everybody says, no, it's not going to make them get there faster. Then the question comes up again. Why? Because somebody said they wanted to get it combined, and by God, they're going to make sure it gets done. Public safety first. That's one of those soapboxes I would get on any day of the week, any place, because it concerns me greatly. Someday my wife will have to call for an ambulance for me probably, and I don't want the phone to go unanswered, just like I don't want it to go unanswered for anybody else.
One of the things also that happens, right now we have the call center here, I think it's a public safety answering point,
Yeah.
PSAP.
PSAP.
We have one in the city-county building. It's actually city and county. There's a wall.
Right.
So I don't know if you count that as one or two.
It's two. It's two separate. If we took the wall, and that was the other thing I asked before. I said, if we take the glass out of the wall, does that make it one? Hard telling.
So,
Yeah, the state law, it goes into effect 2014, says, and I think that the legislature's made a wrong decision. They had some erroneous information. They believe it cost $1 million from the state every year to run each PSAP, public safety answering point. It doesn't. There are 3 public safety answering points in Allen County. New Haven has 1, we have 1, Fort Wayne has 1. State legislature says by 2014 it has to be down to 2. New Haven has already said, we'll opt out. We'll just not take 911 calls while the county take the 911 calls for us. They get $48,000 a year to run their 911 center from the 911 fees, not $1 million. And the information the state legislature was given was based on Lake County. And I think they created a Band-Aid statewide, and they shouldn't have. Because what may work for Lake County doesn't work for Fort Wayne, Allen County. And I think, you know, it needs to get back to where perhaps, you know, the state legislators don't know best for everybody in the state. Some home rule needs to come into effect. The system we have now works and works very well. There's some things that could be done better. I've said from the start, fire department with the volunteer fire departments that used to be outside the city that now are inside, I'd like to see a dual response. The Willows of Coventry Fire was a prime example. Dump a Boyd Township's tones. If they can get there and assist, great. If they don't know, they can't go. And that was the problem. They didn't know. Their tones don't get dumped. So these people that used to live out in the county now are inside the city because of annexation. The Boyd Township Fire Department's still there. They still have their personnel. They still have their equipment. Why not make it a dual response? It doesn't cost anybody anything. All right, you've got the time of maybe getting a fire truck and getting it out and spending the gas for that. But if it saves lives, it's worth it. Dual responses for those areas should be. The city fire chief said, well, it works both ways. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if there's a city fire station close to the city limits in the county and there's a fire in the county, we should send the city. And I said, damn right you should. I don't care what it says on the side of the fire truck. If my house is on fire, put water on it. It doesn't matter what words are on the side of the truck, but if you got water, please put it out my fire. I think that's what we could do to get our first responders there faster. Get Three Rivers Ambulance Authority inside of one of the dispatch centers, get some ambulance there faster. That's what the goal should be.